We've had our nice early May break, but we are back with severe weather coming to mid to late May. The time is 9:39 p.m. and it is May 11th. Welcome to another update from Great Lakes Weather. Hopefully everybody's doing well today, and this is going to cover a few events that we have coming up in terms of weather over the next few days. Tuesday and Wednesday we have potential for pop-up showers and thunderstorms. Low end severe risk, probably not even that much of a severe risk with these storms. But on Thursday really is kind of the main event that we're going to be focusing on with this video, and then also we're going to talk about Friday with the potential for some lagging thunderstorms beyond the potential we have on Thursday. So let's start with just a general overview of what's to come. So Tuesday and Wednesday, we're going to have a low pressure system making its way through portions of the Great Lakes region. It's going to kind of settle over the Great Lakes region for a couple days and maybe bring a few pop-up showers and thunderstorms. There will be some instability associated with that. Not much wind shear though, which is going to really limit the severe weather potential with this. However, there could be an isolated severe storm or two Tuesday and Wednesday. This is actually what is being outlined here by the SPC, as you can see. The day 3 severe thunderstorm outlook, so this is for Tuesday. You can see that there is a patch of green across portions of Michigan, Indiana, Ohio, Illinois, Wisconsin included in that as well. You can see that this is the, again, the probability for severe weather is not really there. So they're not really expecting any severe weather. Isolated severe storm, maybe. But the chances of overall for Tuesday and Wednesday are looking low for severe weather. There's going to be some instability out there, but the shear is going to be minimal with this pattern that we have making its way through. The real focus of what I want to talk about is Thursday, okay? The SBC has highlighted a 15% risk for severe weather across portions of Indiana, Michigan, Wisconsin, Illinois, and then portions of eastern Iowa and Missouri. And honestly, the setup looks pretty good for severe weather, especially across portions of southern Wisconsin and northern Illinois, which is where I'll be targeting for this on Thursday with another group of people. Later on in the evening, it will make its way into portions of Michigan and Indiana based on the latest models, which again, weather models are likely to change quite a bit, so we'll see how timing and other different things play out. But we're now about 4 days away from this, so it's nice to throw out a video just to get an idea of what's going to happen. But 15% risk for severe weather across portions of this region highlighted. That does include West Michigan. And the potential for all severe hazards is present. That means large hail and tornadoes, more likely initially on the western flank of this severe weather threat before it becomes more of a linear mode and translates into portions of Michigan and Indiana. Again, there's still potential for some embedded tornadoes with storms that make their way through, and there might still be some supercells that fire along with this. But Wisconsin and Illinois look to be more of the robust type of setup on the western flank of this 15% risk. So that's what we're watching with this at the current moment. Now, we're going to look at the CSU MLP model, which also gives kind of an idea based on model outputs as to what could potentially unfold. Let me blow this up a little bit. This is the severe probability based on a few models that are kind of put together, and you re-release this conglomeration of like what is potentially or could potentially occur. So you see this red area that is being pointed out by the CSU MLP model, and it actually has a center point right over central Wisconsin, which is where we will be located at, right in that target area based on what the model's putting out. It could also extend into portions of southern Michigan. Really, there could be, if there are storms that, sorry, I need to drink a Zevia. If there are some storms that fire along the warm front with this, that's something that we will want to watch out for as that warm sector begins to lift off to the north. We'll have to see how that unfolds, but really the big issue is going to be that cold front that comes on the backside. It's going to be entering a region of high cape and high shear, which again, you get a combination of those two things together, you have potential for some pretty robust severe weather where that sets up. And again, positioning of the low still is something to be determined with this as well. But let's get an idea of how things could unfold. Again, what we have on Tuesday and Wednesday, you see this low pressure system right here, this trough that's kind of settling over ports of Michigan, Indiana, and Ohio. Now notice it's really not strong in terms of wind shear. Now there will be some instability, about 1,000, maybe 1,500 joules of cape across much of the Great Lakes region. However, with that lack of shear, it's really just going to be those pop-up summer thunderstorms that you generally see, and they'll have an interesting movement pattern too. Again, you have some light east winds associated with this low as it makes its way through. So again, not really expecting too much that's going to be intense, but it'll be a nice rain for the farmers and for other people that do need it with this. So now what we're watching, though, is this low that's going to be making its way beyond that. And as it progresses forward, what you notice is that there is some nice southwesterlies along the upper level, in the upper levels of the atmosphere associated with this. Again, this upper level low, this trough digging in. You got some nice winds that are kind of ejecting out of it into the northeastern flank. And as you notice, as we get into Wisconsin around 5 p.m. on Thursday, you can see that that trough is starting to kind of make its way up to the northeast, and it's bringing those upper level winds with it from the southwest. And that's going to fire with a lot of these thunderstorms here. If those strong winds follow along with the frontal boundary, which the forecast currently points to the fact that it's going to, we will see a potential for some severe weather associated with this across portions of Wisconsin, Illinois, and then getting into Indiana later on in the evening. You can see that that low pressure system sort of continues to dig its way through into portions of Michigan, Indiana, and Ohio. But again, really has a lot to do with where this low sets up and how much shear is present associated with this as it makes its way through. And then Friday, we also have the potential for watching reinvigoration of the low, and we could see the potential for storms firing across portions of Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, maybe even southern Michigan, which I might be able to get back for these storms on time. We'll have to see how things pan out, but we'll have to see how that evolves. So that's something to watch out for with this particular system. And again, you will have a nice low-level jet also as well. We'll take a look at that real quick. The LLJ is going to be a big factor for tornado potential, which again, models are kind of hinting at the fact that we will have a nice LLJ present with this too. So I'm waiting for the model to load real quick. It's going to take just a hot second for that to load, but we'll take a look at the GFS real quick in terms of the surface-based CAPE. So again, your surface-based CAPE, again, for storms to really evolve into more of a severe type setup, what you need really is a good presence of instability in the atmosphere. You need good wind shear, and then you need a lifting mechanism, which we will likely have all of those ingredients put together in some fashion across the area on Thursday. And you can see, as we get to Thursday at 1 p.m. in the afternoon where we have that cold front kind of setting up, you see that there's a nice, good chunk of instability of up to 3,000 joules of CAPE ahead of that cold front based on what the GFS model is putting out. And if you get a sounding in Wisconsin, again, it does show marginal trim potential, but again, you do have 3 CAPE, you have nice instability in the atmosphere, you've got good wind shear present. Looks like that's a setup for hail with the steep lapse rates that we could have present with this as well. So, still some things to watch out for in particular, and then the instability is really going to fire up as we get later on in the afternoon with almost potentially up to 4,000 joules of CAPE on the eastern side of Wisconsin. You can get a sounding out ahead of that, still showing a decent, I guess, plume of CAPE going all the way up into the upper levels of the atmosphere, the high levels of the atmosphere. Your hodograph doesn't really look too pronounced, but again, this is the global models. They don't really do a phenomenal job with that, especially, and even 4 days out, they don't usually do. But again, you're going to have quite a bit of instability with this present. And then if you look at the low-level jet, which is, again, something we want to kind of point out here, Thursday afternoon, you're going to have a low-level jet that's sort of invigorated along the boundary that makes its way through Wisconsin around 5 p.m. that day. And you've got some low-level winds that will be pushing its way through, which, again, we'll have to watch that and see how strong those will be, because it doesn't look as strong based on this model output that we have, which we'll see if that changes at any point. But, again, that's going to be a key factor in terms of watching the overall severe weather threat for tornadoes in particular. So we're going to watch that carefully, see how things unfold there. But instability is going to be a big part of this, which we're going to have quite a decent amount of it. So we'll watch out for that. All right, let's take a look how this plays out in terms of the precip runs. We're actually going to go to a regional graphic because that will do better for us. We're going to close out the other windows. You may notice a little bit of a lag in between everything, mainly because I'm running this on a separate computer right now, this screen. But what we have happening with this is, again, Tuesday. We're going to have that low pressure system making its way through. Across portions of Michigan, Indiana, Ohio is going to kind of settle. It's not really a well-pronounced low-pressure system. And on the, again, you're going to have that nice surge of warm air on the eastern flank that's going to wrap around, then kind of precipitate over portions of Michigan, Indiana, and Ohio. You can see these cells that fire up across portions of the area on Tuesday, and then more on Wednesday. moving in an east to western motion, typical of summer, which again, we're starting to approach summer, but we're not entirely there yet. You can see your sounding here. Yes, you do have instability in the atmosphere, but look at your shear. You have like next to no any wind support with this. Okay, that map really doesn't indicate any presence of anything in terms of wind shear that could fire off severe thunderstorms. So again, if there is a severe storm, it's likely going to be in the form of like maybe a downburst wind, which again, that's even not likely with this type of pattern. Then our low comes for Thursday. As we go forward, you can see that as we progress around 2 p.m., 1 p.m. Central Time, which is where I'll be at, you start to see those storms firing across portions of central Wisconsin. Get a sounding out ahead of those. There's your marginal tornado potential. You got SRH around 100, which again, we like to have 150 or higher for the potential for some strong to severe thunderstorms. Cape values of 2200. You got 3 Cape values of about 18. You got a little bit of a curvature in that photograph. Again, this is the global model. We'll have to see if it invigorates with the short-range models that come later on. 5 p.m., it's entering the Wisconsin Dells region and areas to the east. You get a sounding out ahead of it. It's really not looking like a good sounding based on this model right here, but looking at the southern flank, if we were to look there, still not overall overly impressive on the Euro with this that's moving through. But again, it's a global model. Like to kind of wait to get an idea with the short-range models before we make an entirely decent judgment call on this. But progressing forward, you can see that those storms will make their way across Michigan too on Friday morning, early Friday morning, maybe late Thursday night. Get a sounding with these. Marginal tornado potential still present. SRH tends to increase, it looks like, on the global Euro model, which, again, that's probably going to change later on. And then we'll have to watch on Friday for the potential for more thunderstorm development across portions of Indiana and Ohio, right now currently trending southward. So GFS kind of following a similar scenario. You can see storms around 5 p.m. starting to launch across portions of Wisconsin. There's your Tor sounding. You've got good Cape. You've got a decent, not too much curvature in the photograph, but you got low cloud bases. You got good shear support all the way up. Speed shear in particular, not really directional shear in that regard. But overall, basically what you can notice from this is that this is something to just watch out for over the next few days. I'll probably roll out a brief video prior to the chase on Thursday, but just to make you aware, severe weather season is making its way back, and if you go into the longer range, as we get into next week, it looks like there's even more systems that will make their way through. I'm watching Monday for the potential for more severe weather across portions of Indiana and Illinois. There's your Tor sounding again for Monday. This is getting into the longer range. And then Tuesday even, there's looking to be a nice system that will begin our week next week across portions of Michigan, Indiana, and Ohio, the Great Lakes region. So a lot to watch out for with that, but I'll just keep you in the loop in regards to that. And again, we are in primetime tornado season right at this moment, so make sure to subscribe, stay updated. We will be chasing this on Thursday in the Wisconsin Dells region. We'll be chasing with a couple seniors from the school I teach at, so that'll be kind of an exciting moment for them. But we'll have to see how things pan out with this, and I will keep you updated. We will be live storm chasing Thursday, probably at roughly 3 p.m. So thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for your support. Thanks for those who have supporting the last chases and been donating. It's been helpful for gas and also just with other things, and I'm looking forward to using that to serve you, and thankful for you guys and supporting that. Thanks for watching. See you all later.